I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's Alan. Okay, we have the roll call, please.
Roll call, Bud. Present. Barb.
Here.
Alan Robbins.
Present.
Hannah.
Here.
Keith. Here. Ken.
Present.
Jim. Here. Matt. Here. Alan Michelson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, you've had time to read the minutes. Are there any questions or corrections on the minutes? If not, we need a motion to accept them.
We move that the minutes be approved as published.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Gary, do we have all the bills?
We did. I made one late change this afternoon. Sent everybody updated payables at 4:45 this afternoon. Revised amount 14,733.84.
Okay, we need a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, before we start, our number one thank you goes to the voters, those here and those hopefully listening, for passing our levy last week. We really appreciate that, and we'll take it as a sign that you feel like we're doing an all right job and you want to keep supporting this body as well as your own village. So thank you for all that. Also, I want to thank the police department and the fire department for Halloween coverage. I don't think we had any problems, at least I didn't hear about any. Anybody else have any problems? We didn't have a million kids on my street, but some people did, I guess. Okay, we'll start off with safety.
Yes. There, I did get a call from Deputy Harhay and the other two. And he was at an accident, or in an accident with his cruiser, and will not be here, but we have the full report to go forward. In front of you is just the monthly log. October is a 100-hour month. They work 91.5. That's in our green zone. 695 miles, 38.4 gallons of gas. Harhay worked 27, Cornelius 30, Jane 23 and a half, and Small 11. So a little under target, but well within our range. The next page is just the activities for the month. I'll just read through those. Animal complaints, barking dog or a loose canine 4, disturbance or fights 2, squad or ambulance 3, theft larceny 1, nature's unknown, extra patrols 55, traffic enforcement and radar 1, Victor Watch 9, suicide threat 3, suspicious person 1, lockout 2, assist other agencies 2, building checks 10, criminal damage, mischief, or vandalism 1, no golf cart inspections this month.
Says 18 there on the end, see?
Yeah, 18 for the year.
Oh,
I was just down in Florida, the villages, and they call them golf cars. And overdose, poisoning, ingestion 1, standby assist, general escort 1, violation of a protective order 1, traffic complaint, reckless operation 1, unwanted subject number 1, welfare checks number 3. 117 activities. That's higher. We're usually around 100, so that's a lot. That's an increase there. Harvey didn't give me any particular ones.
maybe they have more vacation watches as people are leaving.
Well, they will. Victor Watch is a vacation watch, so anybody's leaving town, many people in the audience do. Just alert dispatch to the time frame you're going to be out, and they'll make regular checks on your property, make sure everything's okay. If you come back to town, you might want to alert them. Your glass snap's not here, but it's been greeted by deputies when I showed up at his own place. So, that's all I have for that part. Any questions on deputies while we're here? We do have Chief Winkler with us today, and I passed out the report for the November. Jerry, would you like to go over that?
Sure. Not a whole lot of activity reported. 60 calls for October, 48 in the township, 7 in Chippewa Lake, 3 in Glory Glens, and a Mutual Lake. Through October, that gives us 599 total calls, which keeps us right on a pace for about the same as last year, which was a record year. So we're staying busy, and so far November has kicked off we've been busy. So, like the mayor said, we were part of the trick or treat activities here in the village, and as well as also Glory Glens and other neighborhoods in the township. Seemed like it was a good turnout. We had our recent awards banquet, actually Saturday night, and have several award winners. So those are all on the list. We awarded a Rookie of the Year to firefighter medic Ben Grega. Our vision award kind of encompasses the vision statement and what we do on a greater scale. Excuse me, that was firefighter medic Jessica White. EMT of the Year was Cody Uniac, he's a lieutenant paramedic. Officer of the Year, Phil Willis, firefighter of the year was Phil Willis. And Chiefs Award went to Shane Jenkins, who's a lieutenant as well. We also had 4 retirees, so Scott Romanoff at 32 years, Chuck Osborne at 25, Pete DeLovey at 19 years, and Adam Nelson at 17 years. So thanks to all of them for their service. We also had several service awards for years of service, and then one thing I didn't put on the report is the Santa visit. We are doing that again this year on December 17th, so keep an eye on social media as we get word out, and contact information to get that set up. So pass that along. I know we're starting to see people asking those questions on the Chippewa Lake page, for example. So that is coming. So
Good.
For what day before December 17th do the people want to participate in Santa have to have their goods and services to the station?
I don't know that off the top of my head. Usually, I think it's a few days before.
I think it was the 13th.
13th, 15th, 7th, 9th.
It's all on Facebook.
Okay.
Jerry, it's all on your Facebook page.
I've been looking for it and I can't find it.
Oh, you can't?
It's on our Facebook page, I saw it there.
Yeah. I wanted to get the dates and times correct, and I was looking and I can't find it. So,
It's there.
And Tabitha, is that the same day you're having the village party?
It is, yes.
It's also the same day the Lions Club's going out with food buys.
Very good.
Busy day.
Good day,
busy day.
good day in town. Jerry, I have a question for you. It's not a complaint, it's a question. Last weekend, my neighbor across my backyard was out burning leaves in a high wind, right on top of the lakefront, really. She's on a hill by the lakefront. The leaves got out of control, the fire got out of control, it started trailing along her house, but it also put the fire in between 2 pretty good sized houses, very close to both of them. And neighbors were out there with their garden hoses and stuff, and they actually were able to put that fire out. And the fire department did come and they checked everything, I'm sure, to make sure it was really out. But in that situation, that could have been a real disaster. Now, do you cite people for that kind of stuff, for being stupid enough to burn leaves in high wind? I mean, I guess you can't fight them for being stupid, but.
Well, it is illegal. It's illegal at the state level. It's a state law, no burning several months a year, November being one of them, between 6 AM and 6 PM. So that was illegal to burn, and you're right, it's not necessarily wise to burn in high winds. And it's also not legal to burn within the village limits. So no open burning within the village limits, leaves and that kind of thing. So multiple reasons. That would be unfortunate, I don't say unfortunately, unless it's codified in the ordinances, it gets a little tricky because the fire department has to be the ones to enforce it. If it's codified, police department or sheriff's department could actually do the citation. So we work with them on a lot of that.
Did they get a citation? I didn't see any sheriff deputies, but
No, typically.
there was 2 streets involved, so.
Typically, we will have a conversation, we'll give them the information they need, and we don't normally cite, unless it becomes a recurring issue. So, but, yeah, that was that weekend.
That could have been terrible.
It could have been, and one of the issues we had with that one in particular, and this is why it's actually a fantastic thing that the neighbors jumped in and kept it at bay.
You're right.
Because we were already on a huge grass fire, field fire on Friendsville Road, and had to leave that fire to come to this one, which caused a fairly significant delay in us getting there. And that actually happened to be the weekend. I think I read there were 40 grass fires, field fires, woods fires in the county that weekend alone.
Well, it was very, very windy and
It was, yeah, so we do the best we can, but sometimes, you know, the fact is, if we're tied up somewhere else, it's gonna be a little bit to get there, so. It's not, you know, we hope people can we don't go looking for open burns, it's not something we look for. If we're called, we address it. But, you know, a lot of it, we rely on people to just, have some common sense with it, and then, hopefully the neighbors can jump in like in that case, so.
On that one in particular, we did the run report. There was the unit was over at Friendsville Road and need to come over. The initial call directed them to Long Acre and Beachside, and that's not where the fire location was. So they had to, it was up the hill.
it was in between Bungalow Bay and Long Acre, and the fire actually was basically on the Long Acre side of the house.
Yeah,
And so there was the house that's on Bungalow Bay, great big house, and then kind of big house below it that's on Long Acre, but the fire was in between the two in the back,
Yeah.
so. Actually, Long Acre was the better street to come down, but that was probably a little confusing, but
yeah.
I don't know where they found all those hoses, but I think they used both houses faucets. There was a lot of neighbors there really quick, but I think the one that called you first, I mean, it's interesting, somebody came up the road on Long Acre and told her, she lives almost up to where Bungalow Bay is, they told her, oh, there's a house on fire down the street, and that's all they did about it, was mention it to her.
Yeah.
What you're thinking, why didn't you just call the fire department when you're sitting there watching a house almost be on fire? Because I believe there was a sailboat involved in that did get burned, that was in the yard.
Oh, yeah, I heard there was something.
Something there burned first, and then,
Yeah.
okay, I was just
But
wondering
to that
if she
end,
got cited, she should have.
you know, from my side, from the safety committee, we can do a better job of communicating. You know, in that October, the leave time of the year, communicating about the Ohio open burn laws. Hopefully that we can move common sense. So that's one way, and we can also have Claire List. She has a good reach out group with 400 people. So my committee can do a better job keeping the community.
Well, you wouldn't think you had to tell somebody, but I guess you do.
Sure.
The important thing here is that people jumped in and got it stopped and saved potentially a couple nice houses. And so, you know, we try to look for the positives in it, and that was a big positive that people jumped in and got, you know, could have been a lot worse. So,
Yeah, and it was good the firemen came and, you know, they spent some time there, so I'm sure they were looking to make sure they had it all out.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing else on the township part.
Okay, did you want to go to zoning or you got something from Christopher?
I was gonna put him in new business, but if you want him to move up.
Well, it depends on how long Christopher wants to hang around.
Whatever.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go to zoning.
Zoning report for November, 9 Parkway Path. I did contact Brad Winter from the Diamond County Building Department, and he made a visit to the residents to inspect. He did an inspection on the outside, he took some notes and some pictures, and we'll be meeting together at the residence in the near future. 227 Rustic Brook, that kind of is Alan is to set charges for that. And 484 Shorefield Drive, the same with filing charges.
You want me to report on those?
Can you?
Sure. Yeah, 9 Parkway Path, at the beginning of the month, the owner started calling me. And he wanted to know what he should do, because he had had a rough time with COVID and some other issues, and basically was out of it for months. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna give you advice, I'm not your lawyer, I'm the enemy, but, you know, clear up this warrant that's outstanding against you. So he went to court, he appeared before the court, he pled guilty, he paid off his bond and then pled guilty, and that was November 4th. There were 4 charges out against him for this house, and we have a pretty good magistrate up there, Linda Leggett, who takes these cases seriously. She fined him $200 for each charge. So that was fines of $1,000 and $150 court costs. A great deal of it he's paid. The magistrate gave him till February to pay the balance. And I told him, next, look at your house and start addressing what's wrong with it. And I don't know if he's been there, but he said he had hired somebody to help clean it up. Have you seen any evidence of that?
No.
Well, he says he got somebody who's gonna help him clean it up. He's gonna take a look at it. He's gonna see what he can do. He knows a couple neighbors who might be interested in it. So I told him, find out your mortgage balance, go talk to people. And I think he's gonna do this. So my question for you is Brad gonna write up a report on what he saw?
He will, he wanted to meet with me,
Right.
and at the time he was going, I was unable to meet with him,
You know,
so,
under the circumstances, I'd say go in the house.
yeah, I went in myself.
Right. But if he takes a look inside, he can,
It's
he
a
can tell us
terrible-
if it's his opinion that it should be condemned or not.
In my opinion, I think so.
I did get a report because deputies went in with him. I'm sorry
Right,
that didn't
I've
get
gotten that.
communicated.
Right.
Deputies went in through Captain Ross, and what they saw was pretty bad.
Yeah.
An upstairs faucet or thing had leaked for well over a year. Ceiling had collapsed and all that water had just been accumulating over time. So it's pretty dire.
It's full of black mold.
Right.
It's bad, and I don't know if anybody could save it. It's such a nice place.
I know, it might be possible, but, you know, I'm gonna check with the owner toward the end of the week and see if he's still on board with the plan, you know, but he has done what I've told him so far. So I'll try. And he had to pay $1,000 in fines, so he dealt with that. He cleared the warrant.
But you've had similar conversations with him in the past and nothing happens.
Well, the last time I had conversations with him, he got rid of the Sea-Doos and the truck and the trailer. So it's, you know, baby steps. It's not the whole problem, but he's trying to address some of them. And he's paid his fines. I don't see any reason to cite him again. But if the house meets our standard of, you know, subject to removal, we could go that route. Hate to do that, but you know.
Do I post it before I get the report from the building department, or after? Can I post it before I get the report from the building department? That's what I'm waiting on.
It's condemnable now for habitation
Yes.
because of the mold, but whether it's subject to demolition, that's another story. We need a building inspector's report on that. And there are houses that are in horrible shape that can be salvaged, so.
It would be nice if that one could,
Right,
because it is a very nice house. It's just
right. And I told the owner, keep in touch with me, let us know what's going on. Because we don't want to take the house down. That's last resort. So that's where that stands. And I'll let you know, Jim, if I talk to him again.
Okay.
And if you, when you're looking at the village, if you see any evidence that he's done anything, let me know.
Okay.
On 227 Ruster, charges are filed, no court hearing date yet. Same on 44 Shorefield Drive.
Okay. All right, and then I just have 4 permits, 22-022 at 5 Bungalow Bay. That was a permit for the 2 additions, or entrance porch additions. 22-023 at 242 Clovercliff Drive. That was the variance that we had a hearing for last month. 22-024, 242 Clovercliff Drive. That is the permit for that addition for the variance that we heard last month. 22-025, a permit for a dumpster. And that's all I have.
All right, now, I have an issue that I want to bring up, but what I would like to do is take the meeting out of its normal ordering so that Chris, is that right? So that Chris can make his presentation, because we already have him queued up, so it can be displayed on the television. And then I'll have a different matter. If we can take that out of order, if that's acceptable with you, Mayor?
Sure.
That would be the simple thing to do.
I'll introduce Chris. This is Christopher Livingston. We've worked with Christopher for the last year plus. He's kind of, with the problems we've had with the siren at Station 2 on Heather Hedge, we contracted Chris about a month ago, a little over a month ago, to kind of give us an overview of what our options are, costs, where we go for it, and coverage issues. He's got an update report. I'm going to turn it over to him, and we can answer any questions for where we are now.
So just from the last month, I've kind of continued on with where we were. First thing I kind of did was continue to look into the activation methods that we looked into and what associated costs or hidden costs might be involved with those and any other drawbacks that came up. I also collected some more information on some funding opportunities that could help pay for the unit long-term. And then I also attempted to reach out to Godward Enterprises for quotation on refurbishing and reinstalling the Heather Hedge siren. Reached out 2 weeks ago and I have not heard anything from them despite multiple attempts to reach out to them. So depending on how this goes moving forward, Heather Hedge siren might not be a plausible option, unfortunately. So with the activation methods, Mr. Robin introduced me to, I believe it was Mr. Black.
Steve Black.
Steve Black, who kind of answered some questions and gave his opinion on the radio repeater. The repeater will require collaboration with the Medina County Sheriff's Office in order to gain the necessary approval to install and coordinate the installation of the repeater with the FCC. There's nothing we can do with a repeater without the sheriff being on board. And additionally, he mentioned that there may be some additional reoccurring costs with renting out a space in a tower to put a repeater antenna. And that, again, might be a long-term problem for the village. Additionally, Capital Electronics, who I spoke with last month, does do this sort of work, and granted, we can get cooperation from the sheriff's department, this could be a reasonable solution. The other option was the option that Capital Electronics gave, with the two-way relay system. I looked into that. It utilizes existing equipment, so there would be no need to purchase new equipment. I looked into it further. The siren at the former Lafayette fire station down, I believe, I don't remember what road that's off of.
Route 42 and 162.
Yeah, that siren unfortunately can't be utilized to bounce the signal because it utilizes the same type of radio that's on the Heatherhead siren, which is not capable of two-way communication and really shouldn't be used on a siren. In addition, that siren is not fully operational, and Lafayette Township has brought up not using that siren anymore, so I don't think it's a good idea to utilize that siren. There are 3 sirens in Montville that are close enough though that this two-way relay option could be used, and they have the correct radio and equipment on them. And one of them is actually closer than the siren from Lafayette Township. Because there's no costs associated with this long-term, it looks to be the most cost-effective at this time. And I did continue to look into the cellular internet activation, looked into it further. The sheriff's department or EMA or whoever is really responsible for the siren activation would have to upgrade to Federal Signals Commander software, which is a higher level activation piece of equipment that we don't have. Require a monthly expense for them, and that would also incur a monthly expense for us having to use cellular or internet systems to do that, which again raises the cost long-term of this unit. So the two-way relay option appears to be the best option, which Capital Electronics said that they had done exclusively with a lot of their installs, so it's appears to be a very good option in terms of cost and getting it off the ground.
Yes, well, I had a conversation with Chief Winkler, and there's 2 communication channels going on. One is called MARC, I think it's M-A-R-C. But it appears that all of the sheriffs and for the county are gonna go somewhere transition to the MARC system.
So the sirens aren't at this time. They're the only system that's going to stay on the current frequency because of the cost that it would be to upgrade all of the radios on all the sirens in the county. So I believe it was decided last year that they were going to stay on.
Siren stay, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who made that decision, Chris?
I do not. I know it was brought up to the sheriff at a meeting in Litchfield, and it was posted in their minutes from the sheriffs that that's how it was going to be because they were concerned about what would happen to their sirens.
So it didn't happen if I understand you accurately, it happened at the township level, not county level?
So because it's a county system, their sirens operate off the same system. It'll be county. It should be county-wide with that.
I understood that, but I was asking about the decision not to implement it. Did the county commissioners make that decision?
I do not know.
Okay.
At this time, I apologize.
No, it's fine. That's fine.
It was probably a township meeting with the county person there, similar to how we have them here sometimes, probably.
Easy to find out.
And then I did go over some funding options. I came up with 5 grants that appear to be applicable to our situation. The first is the FEMA grant, and historically is the most commonly used grant to purchase outdoor warning sirens. Cost coverage, 75 is covered by the federal government. The remaining 25 has to be covered either by the state or a local entity. The approval for this type of grant is very strict and it's very competitive. In our case, I do think we have a case to be very competitive because we are trying to alert and a lot of outdoor facilities, the lake, a lot of the parks around here, and makes us more competitive than just a community that doesn't have those facilities. The second option was a USDA grant. It's awarded on a case-by-case basis, and there's not any typical procedure for that. Usually it comes out of back and forth between the USDA and the community. It's typically handled in full, but according to their website, how much they award will vary case by case. And approval would be based on how applicable the village is to to their standards.
Right.
Another option that came up was from Christina Fazio with the EMA. Mr. Robbins forwarded this information to me. It came from the First Energy Grant Foundation. There is no information on their website about how much it covers, and fine print on their website says that the money would have to be distributed to a nonprofit organization or an entity that does not bring in tax money. And I believe that would probably require the village to go find an applicable organization that would be able to do that. And I don't think that this would be a very, I could see us not getting the money from this because of the situation. The other option was ARPA funding. This was mentioned by Capital Electronics. These are pre-allocated funds and would be based on the village's spending discretion. In the past 3 months, I've seen 6 cities purchase sirens with their ARPA money, so it's a very surefire way and it's a lot quicker. A lot of communities have used this to kind of get around a lot of the bureaucratic side sirens. And the final is an HUD grant, which last I've seen used was by Barberton, which was 6 years ago now. They still list it on their website. It is another one that's very competitive, and right now nobody can apply until January 1st, according to their website, for this grant. And there's a strict due date for when this grant would have to be applied for. Which then brings us to the actual cost of the units. As I said before, Goddard didn't respond to me, so the information here really hasn't changed from last month. I did note that some of the funding, especially for the more competitive grants like the FEMA grant, would not be applicable to refurbishing the Heather Hedge siren. I did include the Federal Signal Eclipse 8. That's an estimated price. It's not a quoted price from their website. Just to give you an idea, the Eclipse 8 has roughly the same range as the Heather Hedge siren, and that's how much a siren similar to the Heather Hedge siren would cost. And to be honest, once I show you the coverage maps, you can kind of base the opinion if that price is worth it compared to the other two. Now, another thing to note is the Heather Hedge siren was not battery backup compatible. You would have to have some sort of generator if the power goes out for the siren to continue functioning. The other two sirens and the Eclipse 8 would all be battery backup compatible. So if the power goes out, you still have a siren, still function, which is kind of important for a severe weather siren. And then just to give you an idea on range, and before I get into range, these maps are not going to be what you should expect to see in the field. They're kind of to give you an idea of how far these sirens can be heard, terrain, tree coverage, and all of those things can affect how audible a siren is. Generally speaking, or not generally speaking, but Federal Signal did say that if we make a purchase with them, they will provide a comprehensive sound study that will show you actually where you should expect those decibel ratings to be. In the case of the village, because we have the lake, the sound should flow pretty straight over because it's a flat surface. And just to give you an idea, that outer circle is the 508 siren that Federal Signal offers. The one just below that is the 2001. And then that inner siren would be the existing Heather Hedge siren at the site of the lodge. Of course, if we use the Heather Hedge siren at that location, it's not going to be audible at 70 decibels, which is what FEMA recommends. Across the lake to the village, the other two sirens would be for the most part. And then utilizing the Medina County Emergency Management Agency building, Heather Hedge siren doesn't fully cover the village at 70 decibels. The other two sirens do, and they do cover Glory Glen's Park as well. And use Village Hall, you can kind of get an idea that, again, Lake is covered by the other two sirens as well as Glory Glen's Park Village, and any other surrounding areas that are concerned to us. My main concern is with the Heather Hedge siren. You really have to be careful where you put it because it's clearly a very small siren. It's not going to cover that much, and we do want to cover the lake from what I've heard because it's an outdoor facility. Any questions on like the range?
I think, we've had problem. We're always in a scenario where we're having to be cooperative with another entity. I did reach out, went to the Park Board of Directors, Medina County Park Board of Directors. They would let us put it in the property, but they wouldn't pay for it, they wouldn't maintain it. So I think if we can work with some here or someplace that's village property, we could avoid a lot of long-term geopolitical conflict.
Well, that's probably true, but the other thought occurs to me is friends of the park have a substantial amount of money. And I think they would be willing participants when approached, if approached.
Well, that's a good point. When I look at that map, we've got, obviously, we're trying to support the village residents.
Right.
But we have 2 townships, 2 villages, a park district, and, if we could get some kind of cooperation to divide up, the $40,000, we could probably make it pretty palatable for everyone and then serve everybody. But then you have, we're learning on the radio frequency, sometimes there's going to be recurring costs for these things on towers.
Yeah.
So we're early in the game, but, and ARPA monies, hopefully there's still some ARPA monies out
You
there.
have enough ARPA money to pay for it.
No?
We do, 47,000.
Well, we have some, but I'd like to have other people participate.
I agree.
And, the 501c3, Pride Committee could be a conduit, possibly the park could be a conduit for the money. So, there's things that they can do.
Chris, another question for you. I put you on the spot, but is there a grant window, if you will? You identified several probable sources of grant money. Do you have any idea what the windows are in terms of?
No, I
Yeah,
do know,
fulfill
I
it.
believe if I go back, I don't know for the FEMA because the FEMA website, it says that it's just closed for the year and that more information will be posted in January. For the HUD grant, that one, everything has to be submitted by, I believe June 1st. The other ones, First Energy does not have any, it seems to be just when you submit the application and when you, for USDA, as it's kind of a communicative process. Again, the FEMA one and the HUD grant seem to have those windows, the others do not.
I'd like to suggest we have, Chris, you've got so much legwork involved in this. You've done a really nice job, by the way.
Yes, we have.
I'd like to see you flesh out those unknown areas a little more thoroughly.
Yes.
And I think we have the capability within the council membership to identify other stakeholders, if you will. Let's face it, we all benefit from this.
Well, yeah, you look at that map and we're more than likely selecting the outer 2 bands. They're similar in cost. I don't know what's the difference in the unit, But yeah, get the people that are stakeholders,
Participate.
yeah, exactly. Doesn't mean they're gonna be willing victims.
No, it doesn't.
Gives us a chance to spread some money around. So, yeah, and as we know, in other grants, a lot of time, well, there's always a long lead time. You know, even though you gotta have it in by June 1st, they might not make that decision until September, October, a year from now.
Well, let's face it, we've been kicking this can up and down 40 miles of bad road. So we have the time to flesh it out.
Yeah.
You have a thought, Mark?
Do we know what the reoccurring costs would be?
That would require, depending on what aspect that we're looking at, again, if it's with like the software from Federal Signal, that would require, some communication with Federal Signal. They don't make those numbers publicly available. Or with the tower, it would depend on, the situation, what tower we're putting it on, who owns the tower, that sort of information. And especially with the tower, considering that really no work has been started with that, it's kind of hard to estimate that. That was what I ran into with Capital Electronics and when I spoke with them about it. But some of the other costs, especially like the internet costs for activation, could be definitely more easily.
I know, I'm sitting here watching this, I've been zoning in on which ones I would buy. Do you have one of those?
Depending on where we put it, I live practically between the two outer bands models. Medina has the 2001 siren, Montville has the 508 siren. And I can tell you when it comes first Saturday, the 508 siren is much louder than the 2001 siren. I live practically equal distance from the two. Additionally, the 508 siren is 500 hertz siren, and that's preferred, especially NRC requires sirens to be placed within a 10-mile radius of nuclear plants, and they have to be 500 hertz now. So it's a little bit better, in my opinion. I think it's a $2,000 more than the 2001 siren, but it does have a little bit of an edge over the 2001 siren.
Yeah, my thought on this would, I think it was the Federal with the yellow band. And we put it right where you're showing it right there. We try to get other communities around us to help pay for it. But this village maintains the monthly charges so we control it. That's my thought.
Yeah, you're, good point. We don't know where those are. We're right at, with Chris's work here, we know what our options are.
Yeah, and I understand, I'm just.
Yeah, well, connectivity is the issue, and that's really controlled by the sheriff's office.
Right.
The dispatch underneath there. So our next steps, after we pretty much we get the refurbished siren, which you can see doesn't look like it'll do what we want to do, is get a meeting with Janella Dispatch and hopefully Sheriff Price. So we'll have to talk that out when that comes, who should attend that meeting. And we've had meetings with Sheriff Price before.
Yeah, you should be okay with the meeting.
ODNR provides grants for different things. Did you check in any of that?
I looked into it. There's a lot of opportunity, but nothing posted and nothing that I saw that came up that in the past they funded something like this. Again, there are hundreds and hundreds of grants that we could apply for. It's just a matter of can we apply for it? And do they offer a grant for what we need? When I looked through these grants, I looked mainly for severe weather warning systems. You could probably apply this to an ODNR grant.
With the lake there.
I did ask that question of Nate Epic when I met with the board a month or two ago. He came back that he did not know of anything. I did not reach out to ODNR Watercraft because that water is a big part of what we're trying to provide a safety for. So Nate didn't have any direction for me on that.
I have stuff printed out because it was something that I had looked at for the possibility of getting money to build a shelter, a pavilion for the village through grant money, because it's something that has been done in the past with grants. So, I mean, with ODNR and our lake access here, down Medina County Park, I wonder if that would be an option. I mean, they gave $35,000 to somebody to build a shelter.
No, I agree with you totally.
I'm just
We
saying.
We just didn't, we asked that question, but we didn't get any feedback.
Well, I don't know if you wanna, you can take this, I don't know if you wanna,
I'll take a look at it.
you could dig through it, legal.
Did you have any other slides, Chris?
I believe I just for my proceeding activities, I think this kind of came up. I'm gonna continue to try to find any information on the Heather Hedge siren to provide a number, if the council feels that it's necessary, seeing those coverage maps. If you guys don't feel like it's necessary, I will not do that. The other thing that I'd like to do is start looking deeper and possibly reaching out to some of these organizations to kind of get more in-depth information about these grants, what's required. I was looking at a 15-page application for the tornado siren grant from FEMA today, and I know that it does require a fair amount of information to be supplied to FEMA, especially about parties that would benefit from the installation of a siren for FEMA to even consider your grant application. So that's something that I'd like to start collecting information for, just so that it's available to the village to potentially do something.
We think, well, it's well and good. I think for you, as you further your career, I think knowing how to go through a grant application process could be very beneficial for you and for us. And they can be very laborious. And I'm in a conference next 2 days with Ohio Parks down in Columbus, and I'll try and ask around while I'm down there, see if I can get anything. These are really not everybody's there. If I find a watercraft person, I'll try and pop that question on. They have a number of different grant opportunities, NatureWorks. They have several things that they do through that. Be nice to get some money to support us. Especially see when you see that map, how much of that water is Park District or watercraft.
From the information you presented and that map that you presented, it doesn't seem like it would be really worth any more time or energy to focus on that Heather Hedge side.
Yeah, and the only reason that I even brought that up is because EMA offered it to us, and it probably would cost us less. But from this standpoint now, knowing that we probably would not be able to get grant money for that siren, it really doesn't seem worth it.
What's the deal with the Lions Park siren? Is that just?
So, Lions Park siren, as far as I know, by Lafayette Township has been abandoned. They were earlier this year looking at a new siren. That siren's a larger siren, and I don't remember off the top of my head what effective range it covers. My concern right now is I know that earlier this year, the unit was struck by lightning, according to minutes from Lafayette Township. And if that's the case and the unit's damaged, the cost of repair might put us up at the cost of a new siren. And the other concern that I have is that siren has not run, I don't think, since 2013 from the top of my head. And it's sitting there and us not having any way to even know if it's working or not, like we do the Heather Hedge siren, kind of is a concern, especially considering that last I checked, the controls in the battery box are literally falling off the pole.
Actually, the Heather Hedge siren got hit by lightning last year, and it set it off. It worked beautifully.
It worked
So
2
we
months
thought maybe
ago,
it
too.
came back to life, but we heard in October, but not in November.
Yeah, and I think that's back to where we were with the weather conditions were very good for the sound, or for the radio signals actually traveling to the village. Again, in severe weather, we're probably not going to have that.
Steve Black, the radio frequency engineer, said the terminology that, we're in an area that doesn't get reception, and they call it a shadow area where you're not getting reception. And his point was, we're having shadow issues here. He's thinking that the police and fire department, we're not getting reception either, but this could be going back to the mark issues. Like, that's outside of our knowledge range. But our next step, I think, beyond just you accumulating some additional work on grant areas would be valuable. We'll see if we can feed you some more opportunities. And then we're gonna have a real good serious sit down with the sheriff's office and dispatch.
You're allowed to take holiday breaks like you would in your normal life, unless this is your normal life looking.
It kind of is, and now that I'm going into emergency management at Akron, this very much so relates to the stuff that I'm gonna be working with in the spring.
That's very good. And again, we appreciate the work that you've done for us. In a couple of months, you've accomplished an amazing amount.
Yeoman's work. Yeoman's work.
And he's good to work with. He's a good writer, and he's a good writer. I'm able to feed him some suggestions, and he works with it well. So, thank you, Chris.
This information is very impressive.
Yeah. Any other questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Jim, use your magic pen.
Let me broadcast now. This should come up here now. Twitter.
Give me just a minute.
Thanks for your time, Chris.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Be safe.
Maybe he'll be in charge of our emergency management someday. That's a nice thought.
You know, he's young. He looks young. But if you talk to him on the phone or see his writing, he does well. So, and he's focused on sirens. You know, it's just where he is.
Okay.
It's good for us.
While we're trying to figure out how to get this up on the screen, and it was just for educational value only. We have, deed covenants that extend along our lakefront. And it is very restrictive. So what occurred is we had a young man lose his life tragically this summer and drowned. And you're all familiar with what I'm talking about. And we have another village resident who decided that he would construct a memorial to commemorate that tragic death. But being that my thought processes memorial is immediately adjacent to, it's got a small patio, a bench, and then a stone wall occurred, and then a surfboard occurred, and then another surfboard occurred. And you might think, well, that's not that big a deal. It's down on the lake. But when you look at our restrictive deed covenant, that's kind of a no-go zone in terms of what you're free to build or not build. So this memorial that I'm talking about happened over the course of the summer and exists there yet today. So if the village council determines that we want to adhere closely to the deed restrictions, then that memorial, either in part or its totality, should be removed. to subscribe and honor the deed restrictions. And when I say deed restrictions, their origin goes back to 1925, 1933. And they exist in perpetuity. So a few of us on council had some discussion about it. And honestly, there's some concern about what's the best and most appropriate way to proceed. The constructor of this memorial did so with nothing but the best intention. So, thank you, Jim. I guess where the cheese gets binding is this applies across the entire lakefront. And as you are aware, those parcels are owned by individuals, with the exception of what I'm talking about. And the village of Chippewa Lake owns that parcel.
But these restrictions apply to all those lots.
Well, that's true, but a deed restriction is enforceable by the owner of the property. So in this case, we are the owner. And we can enact those deed restrictions.
Just to clarify what you're saying there, Bud, it's the properties from between the Oaks and the bridge
That's right.
that we're talking about.
That's right. And the bridge and beyond, it's all private owners. But the deed restrictions are very similar in nature as to the wording.
That's for Point Park.
No, this goes on, this covers all that area.
No, this is Point Park,
No, it doesn't.
Well, there's another part of it that
Right.
covers,
the top of it is what you want right there.
Yeah, that covers Point, or the rest of the lakefront, from the creek down.
right.
Not including the north. And it says no buildings except, you can see what it says.
Right.
No structures.
Those structures.
Right.
Well, it's an emotional situation. What does the family, not talking about the people who constructed this, the family of the young man and I, what's their thoughts?
I've not had any discussion with them.
They would like it down.
We have someone here too. Eric, did you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, excuse me, my name's Eric Niger, I live on Longacre, and, my dock is right next to that structure, and I have talked to the Dukers, Bob and Pam. Bob made it clear, he's like, Eric, I don't wanna be reminded of this tragedy of my nephew drowning every time I come down to my dock. Pam voiced the same. She just wants the board, the one board that everyone signed, for Tyler. And, to me, it was taken further than just Tyler Saffel, the tragedy that happened with him. The other board that's down there, has the gentleman that erected it has his father's name on it, who had passed last year also. So it's not only, it was meant to be a memorial for Tyler Saffel, and now obviously it's a memorial for his father also. I don't understand, all the legalities of it, but bringing this up, and that was gonna be my question, is there laws to, that are in place at the village to, you cannot build on the lakefront. And it started out with just a small pile of rocks and now it's this gigantic rock wall that is an eyesore. There's beer cans on it. He took foam, like that spray foam you put in your cracks, and tried to hold them rocks together. It is just a hideous looking pile of rubble. And I look at it every day. I'm down there every day, 2-3 times. And,
There's a nice bench there. You guys have probably seen the bench, and I think there's some rocks that make it like, not
Like-
sidewalk exactly,
There's
but,
like a patio there.
yeah, a little patio like with the bench, and that part of it is probably okay, I would think.
he also erected a flagpole down there.
A what?
A flagpole.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And the bench that's down there is nice, but
It is.
we do have these other benches in our park area that have been made, and, you know, the trees in the Point Park that have been dedicated to somebody, whatever,
The little
whoever's
plaque.
purchased it. I mean, why not replace that monument with a nice bench dedicated to maybe Tyler and the other gentleman as well?
Well, the bench is already dedicated to Tyler. It's in loving memory of Tyler Joseph
Right.
Zapple. His mother said, that she likes the bench. I see her down there from time to time sitting. And, it's nice, the bench and the patio.
Yeah, we have benches all through the park, I mean, that's,
Right, yeah, we can form with other benches.
Right, I mean, it's not obstructing views, it's, people use it other than the family.
Right,
so like the bench should stay and the rest would come down, is that what you're saying?
yes.
So, for my fellow council members, do you have an accurate grasp of where we're talking and what we're talking about?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes.
I hadn't seen all the extra wall and circuit boards and stuff like that.
I would like to propose a motion for your consideration that the wall and the flagpole be removed. The bench and the stonework beneath the bench can remain. I feel that's a reasonable compromise with the wording of the deed restriction and to the loss of life. And we honor the deed restriction. But we have like structures throughout the village and other locations.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay,
There's also a dock down there, but now I'm hearing that that dock gets used for the polar bear. That's true.
that is true. If we have frozen lake conditions, we'll drag that dock out to provide safe footing.
Is that why it's being left there? Because it's not supposed to be there.
I realize that.
Whose dock is it?
Bob Dukers. Ken, you had come down last spring
Yeah, that's right.
and you asked me whose dock's that, and I said it was mine. And I
Eric's
did leave my
moved
dock down there 1 year, I've been here 20 years. And I took my dock back, I took a house. As you
I
guys-
remember, yeah.
And, it's Bob's dock. I've used that dock. I think we've only used it now, once? Maybe,
You would know better than I.
yeah, but the point is, I mean, it shouldn't be there. I mean, I can bring my dock down, if we need
Or the
to
polar
put
bear,
dock
I mean.
sections out, I'll go up and get mine, I'm right up the hill. So, but I think that dock needs to go too,
Okay, so there is a dock store down there on the lakefront where, on our property, just same as this thing. So,
We can see through that's removed as well.
yeah. Eric's even volunteered some people to move it, but I guess we need to ask Bob what he thinks.
I talked about it, I said, Bob, where do you want it? I'll get my guys, we'll load it, bring it up, and put it by the old train station, run back here, wherever you want.
What Bob said.
He just shook his head.
That's saying, oh.
Yeah, that's,
We know what that's saying,
He's a
whatever.
hard head.
Okay. All right.
We're willing to do that, let's do that.
Okay, so, I will make that contact
Okay, we'll have fun.
on both those matters. And if we need to
Good
do
luck with that, Bud, by
something
the
with a little more enthusiasm, we can address it.
Okay,
Thank you all.
thanks, Eric. Okay, do you have anything else for zoning?
I guess. Well, maybe. I'll hold off to new business.
Okay, community relations, Tabitha?
Scheduled a second CPR first aid training for December 10th. Shared it with Claire's list, so that will be shared with the community within the next couple days. It'll be at 10 a.m. on a Saturday to give the opportunity for more people maybe who are working or students who couldn't attend our last one because of school activities after school. We spent, I believe it was $350 the first time, and that was 7 people. There were 8 there, but I do believe it's possible the one resident that was from Gloria Glenn's, who was a coach at the high school, may have paid for herself because she just liked the idea of it was conveniently here and it was going on. So she may not have used our monies for herself. I think she may have paid for herself because I know she was there. So that leaves us, you know, the difference. So we can probably do a class of at least 12 people. When we got the bill, it was $50 per person for the training, which is a very, very good value. So we're gonna do it again. So if anybody here is interested that didn't attend the last one that we did, get a hold of me. I'm gonna put your name on a list to sign people up again like I did last time. I'll put it on Facebook as well. And when our website is up and running, if we can put something on the website for
Yes.
people to contact me.
And I'm taking notes. What time did you say?
10 o'clock. So 12, 10 at 10.
12, 10.
I reached out to the beach attendants, right, Kelsey do that, and there's not really much interest now, but nobody's hired. So we're gonna have something in the spring, so it could be discussed during the interview process. But at this point, I mean, they don't wanna jack around with that, give a choice, they're be like, hey, you're gonna work as a beach attendant next year? I don't know why. Oh, because you have to do this course. Probably not. Then come spring, yeah, I want that job. You know, it's,
Right.
and they're,
Can
a lot of these
we,
people don't even know if they're gonna work at the beach this year.
with this PEP grant, with these funds, since we've allocated it towards, it's going to this, can we prepay the fire department this year with those fundings, but do the class next year?
No, I have to check on that.
That
Okay,
would be good.
so just in case, say we only get another 8 people and then we still have another $300 to spend. If the fire department can bill us for the $300 as a prepayment for future classes,
Right.
and then we could,
I can guarantee 8 to 10 because it's gonna
Do
be
you have
required.
to prepay?
right,
Yeah, it'll be a great thing.
just,
They'd expect the monies to be spent this year,
right.
so.
So if we're spending it and prepaying and then just having credit with the fire department, I don't know if the fire department will even do that, but it's a thought if we don't get a full roster of people who are interested.
I'll check on flexibility, see
Okay.
what they'll allow.
Item number 2, breakfast with Santa is scheduled. That will be December 17th, and it's gonna be either 10 or 10:30 a.m., whatever works for our elves, whatever might work for Santa, if the elves can get a hold of Santa to be here again. I will post things on Facebook. We can put them on the village page as well. And I did communicate that with Claire's list as well.
Wonder if there's any elves here listening.
I hear they're always listening.
Their ears are everywhere.
Yes.
It's pretty
They're
awesome.
always watching and always listening.
They can.
Yes.
We will be there whenever Santa needs us to be there.
Okay. The last thing, question?
Yeah, Allison just texted me. You're supposed to get a card when you take a CPR class.
She didn't, because I did have a few residents who contacted me when they said they got their cards in the mail. I double checked, so if she didn't get it, did she
I
use
didn't
her?
get mine either.
You didn't get yours either? Okay. Greg got his and he's not here tonight, but he was the one I communicated with. So I will
I didn't
contact.
pass, and Matt probably, or,
I
I think.
You failed.
Maybe there's a reason I didn't get it.
I will contact the fire department tomorrow. I will message my contact to say, hey, where are the cards? Because I know Greg got his. He sent me a text message about 2 weeks ago. He received his in the mail.
Oh, 2 weeks ago?
At
You know
least-
what, she's in Florida now, so.
Yeah, so it's possible that it's in her mailbox here, but it was approximately 2 weeks ago that he messaged me, asked me when you'd be receiving them. And then I told him to keep in contact with me, that I knew that they were gonna be in the mail. And he sent me a text message when he physically received it. So I was guessing if he got it, everybody did. But I know the other people who took the class, so I'll send messages to everyone and ask them.
Yeah,
if they
before
received
you go
theirs.
to them, because maybe she's gonna resign.
Yeah, but you and Manny haven't gotten yours either?
Best of my knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, I will look into that.
She said it would have been forwarded but she hasn't gotten it.
Hasn't gotten it yet. That could be our mail system. The last thing that I did send a email out to John Sullivan. He was a gentleman that was here in February and talked to us about the fiber optic network that is going to be installed here in the village. I had seen, the old bank, there's a truck up there with the orange cable. I believe that is fiber optics. They were supposed to be in our area October, November.
They're doing Ryan Road right now.
Okay,
Ryan and, Lake.
okay.
Or Chippewa, sorry, Chippewa.
Right, I sent out a message to him to be updated on their schedule when they're actually going to be here in the village. Because I expected them to be here by now and us to be having the availabilities according to their timeline. So they're a little behind, which is probably to be expected. But I'm gonna continue to get further information on that. So we are prepared when our front yards are gonna be tore up.
Now, is that gonna
redone.
Is that gonna compete with Spectrum?
It's gonna compete with Spectrum, yes.
Okay.
Their services, for what they give us, are faster and better than Spectrum. And at the time in February, when we were looking at pricing, their services were more affordable than Spectrum as well. So it is going to be very competitive.
Okay.
But I'll keep everybody posted. I'm gonna ask everyone if you have any questions or problems or anything. John had told us at that time, if anything was wrong, if somebody was doing something that he thought they weren't supposed to, they weren't putting the yard back together like they had found it, to contact him. So if you guys could contact me, I guess, I can then contact him to address any issues or complaints that we might have, if we have any. I'm hoping we don't have any. He said it would be smooth and seamless, but nothing's ever smooth and seamless.
They've been doing real nice work on their remediation of tenant and workplaces. And a lot of places, they're shooting the lines, so it's not long trenches.
Right, it's going under the ground. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. I see, Mark's not hiding back there, is he? Can't see past Pam and Cam and Eric are lined up, so I missed that seat, but, okay. Barb, building and utilities?
Okay, voting went well, thank you to Bud for opening the building so they could set it up and, opening it back up so they could remove the machines. Thank you to our local poll workers, Kelly Schmatzer, Kelly and Linda Ryder for working polls. I would like to thank Mark in absence for dissecting the tariff with Ohio Edison and exposing their lack of knowledge of the tariff. He sent some stuff to me, I forwarded it to First Energy, Ohio Edison, and they realized that they were wrong, and they will now be replacing the high pressure sodium floodlights in Point Park with LED lights. So we will have two 50-watt lights. I requested that they be angled so that they are pointed close to the bocce court as possible. Those will be 50s. Thank you. Despite the fact that the park closes at dark.
That's true.
Sorry, throw that in there. The other two lights on the other side of the bocce court will be 30s. The light in the middle of the field will be 30, and there's another light a little bit further down, I believe it's near Cottage Cove, and that'll be 30 as well. So we have to pay for the removal of the existing structures, and I believe we have to pay for the mast arms. So there was a comment, there was an email that went out about NOPEC money that needed to be used. I think it was $2,300 or something. So I don't know if other council members have any wish list with that NOPEC. I know that we were struggling to find ways to spend that money the last time, and we took care of that. So I don't know if anybody else has a wish list with that, but possibly that money could be used for the removal and the mast arms for the LEDs for the park.
Challenge with that is those monies have to be spent, I believe, either by 1st of December or mid-December. It's
I thought your email said it had to be submitted.
submitted for payment. That could be.
Well, they're
Whatever that
supposedly
number
doing the
said.
engineering of it and should have a cost estimate for me soon.
Okay,
They've had their engineers down there working, apparently.
okay.
I don't know if anybody that's around her today has seen anything down there going on.
So we
Okay.
check that email,
I will try to,
but I think it's coming up pretty quick.
I'll share that information
It was
with,
November 2nd.
I'll share that information with Amy from First Energy to give us an estimate. But I don't know if anybody else has a projected use for that money.
No, go for it. My point is, if you feel that maybe, I mean, we want to submit it within the grant guidelines. The other could be, if you know it's going to push over, maybe we could ask for a 30 or 60-day extension.
I will try to find out from Amy. So
Are these lights you're putting up down there gonna interfere with the movie night?
that's a good possibility.
Can we get a switch on them to shut them
That's
off?
not a good possibility.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I will check into that, but, so one of the, emails that they sent me with their engineering that they're doing is that they have discovered that there's a pole down the park that has an outlet on it that was illegally placed there that is not being metered, and it needs to be removed. So I'm going to simply ask them if they could put a meter on it and leave it, but because they own the pole and it's not their equipment, they said that we would have to erect our own pole and put it on there. So I will see if they can just meter the existing structure.
Are they taking our power away?
They call it tit for tat.
So it has been there for a long time. I don't know who put it up or when it was put up. But I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying that they have made that discovery and
Had that happen one time ago with the one by the beach too.
Yeah, they sent me an email saying that it needed to be removed, it was there illegal, because we did get an email maybe 2 months ago saying that it was illegal for people to put things on Ohio Edison poles. So they found it. So I will see if they can put a meter on it and leave it, and I will see if they can put a switch on it, on that light.
That would be very good.
And if maybe if they can even just erect it, so that maybe we hire our own electrician to put a switch on it, we can do that? Okay,
Is it gonna be as bright as the one is at Gloria Glenn's? That's so glaring down there.
is it gonna, Glory lights, I
The
don't know.
light that Gloria Glenn's has down at their beach is like, it's horrible light.
I don't know, it's
Very
the
bright.
ones at the bocce court are going to be brighter than the ones that are along Beachside Boulevard. So the two for the bocce court are 50, the rest of the ones along Beachside.
I was wondering if they don't bother, I mean, just the other one, when you look down the lake down there, it's
Right.
very,
Blinding.
blinding, yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost
it's
blinding when
spots.
you got your boat, yeah, it's terrible.
The one at the corner of Park Lake and Redwood Boulevard is a 50. Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's a
That's
50.
the one that came down in the storm.
Yeah, yeah.
And they put,
And
they
so
put
they're
what they
putting
had.
up
which was
thirty.
I
a
don't know, I can
50.
put a 50 up because we had requested that all the streetlights be 30 except for
And it says, you can look right up at it and see it says 50 on it.
they were right on the head.
Yeah, it's pretty bright. It's,
I just know the one at Gloria Glenn's on the lake, it's
Well-
very distracting. Just even in driving your boat at night, it's very blinding.
Hey Barb, if you need a pole, we have one down at the golf club that's not being used. So if you
I would hope that I would hope that they would work with us to leave it there and just put a meter on it.
Well, I'm just saying, if you need a pole. there's
Yeah.
one down there that's not
Okay.
being used.
Well, I hope we don't have to go to that because then we're looking at a lot of money to have the pole put in
Yeah,
and
pull it out.
put power to it, so. So I do want to thank Mark for really lighting the fire under Ohio Edison to get that done, because they've been telling us for over a year that it wasn't possible to do that. Along that line is, well, let's see, we did that part. Let's see. They're working on replacing the two LEDs between the lake and your house. The two there at the very end are out.
What happened to those?
I have no idea, but
It doesn't bother me that they're not.
I'm sure it doesn't. They are out, I don't know why, so I reported it is out, but they wanted to put a lock on our boat ramp. And I sent them that email that you said that we have an ordinance that we can't do that, so I got a key tonight, so they can get the key from me, so they can gain access to it. So, I did put a new lock on the breaker box on the beach, where the LED floodlights are down there, because somebody keeps turning off all the breakers, turning off the lights down there. So I did put a lock on there from my conversation with you. Did you raise the phone?
I did, that's after the meeting.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yes, I wanted to thank Bill Glassnip. On voting day, he called me and let me know that another piece of siding came off the building, and he did put that back up as well. As far as the tennis court cameras, boy, I learned more about cameras. We're gonna go with I already purchased them. We have Arlo wireless cameras, and I have solar panels to go with each one of them. There's 3 cameras, 3 solar panels. They should not have to have batteries replaced on them. Works off of Wi-Fi. Tom Melter, who is by the tennis courts, he donated $1,000 to the parks for the purchase of cameras for the tennis courts. Gave the receipt to, I think it was $600 or $700 for the cameras and the solar panels. So we'll connect to Tom Meltzer's Wi-Fi as well. He's offered that up as guest Wi-Fi for the operation of those cameras. And, I looked at the hardwired cameras with Vectro, and I contacted Astro Systems and Medina, and, they both require, electricity, a box to house a DVR, and then an internet connection that would be, I don't know, $45 or $50 a month for an internet connection. The Arlo cameras will have possibly free cloud service. At the most, it would be $9 or $10 a month for unlimited cloud storage with the Arlo cameras. And once that is set up in the software, I do believe that anybody on council would be able to download the app for that on their device and be able to view the cameras as well. And I will give Tom Melter access to that as well, since we're using his Wi-Fi. So then he can even monitor himself if he's interested. So we did go with the Arlos. I looked at Blink. I looked at wired ones with Vector and Astro, and it just was not feasible. And the DVR in here died, and we ended up having to get a new system. So this way, everything goes to the cloud, and we won't have to deal with DVRs in the future with that. I did purchase a new iPad so that the town hall cameras, the software can go on there for that. As well as the two Nest thermostats will go on that instead of my own personal iPad device. And I did purchase 2 new smoke detectors, CO detectors for the building that are also Google Nest, and that'll also work on the iPad. And I do believe that those of you that are in the group that want access to it, you will have to put the app on your device and then scan. There's a QR code on the back of the thermostats. And you'll have to scan that code so that you can get that device on that device on your device.
Can you send me the app information?
Yes. I think it's back here. It's Nest. So Google Home, I believe it is. So, but I will get that for you. So that, I still need to install the smoke detectors. I just got them. In fact, I bought one at the store and they only had one on the shelf, so they had to send me one, and it came to my house today. So I'll try to get those installed quickly. Let's see. And the fire extinguishers are due for a recharge, so I can have ABC come down. Probably, they were done last November, so I will probably have them come down in December. I can take them to them, or they can come here. So if I have time, I'll come get them and take them to North Royalton and have them test them. If not, then we'll just have them come down here. And it's, I don't know, I think it's $100 or something, or less, maybe. They did it last year. Okay, I think that's all I have.
Okay, one question. Will there be signs up there by those cameras or on the tennis courts?
They will provide, there should be one sign that comes with them, but it's not very big. It's probably a sticker.
Could we get one bigger?
Well, you have access to getting signs made through the county? Maybe 2?
What kind of verbiage you want?
I will get you on that.
So you're on candid camera.
Yeah, you know, facilities monitored by surveillance cameras.
Just a sticker.
So the ones that we got from Vector are in the building, in the windows, those are 12 by 18, I think. But since these are outside, maybe we can go 24 by 18. And although we have bright yellow signs by our parking lots that say village residents only, people don't seem to see them, so.
Well, they see more, they just.
They won't see them till they get caught.
Right. Okay, so my to-do is to see if we can get a switch on those poles for that light in the middle of the park and see if Ohio Edison can just put a meter on the existing
Or we
poles.
want our lights out, so you have a dark spot for the movie screen.
I'm sorry? I mean, I,
Leave one of the lights out, don't replace it, so
yeah, I
there's,
can do that. I mean, that light is right in the middle.
because they have a nice setup now for that movie screen.
I can tell them to eliminate that light, that's not a problem. I don't know if well, we don't have the sheriff here to tell us what his thoughts are on it, but, I mean, it does light up the middle of that field, so the new light will be considerably brighter than the existing light, because that's that orangish kind of glow, so it will be brighter.
They might be off, yeah.
I mean, well, it'll be 30 watt, it'll be much brighter than the existing light, so if we can eliminate it, that's fine.
You don't want to though, because then she's not gonna be able to have power for her.
Well, we can still have the power out there, but we'll just have them take that floodlight down and we won't put an LED up there. I mean, I can do that unless anybody on the council objects to it. I don't know what the sheriff would think about as far as the park safety is concerned, but that's why I keep turning the lights on at the beach, because they're always parked there. I think it needs to be lit, so, I mean, we just,
I think having it lit is a good idea, because that's a dark corner. That's just what I think.
the beach or the middle of the field.
The middle of the field, the park, it's a lot of dark area. If we're to.
It is a lot of dark area, but I do know that, again, we do have a lot of people that go down to the point and fish at night and leave a mess. So I don't know if having it be darker down there would deter that or not. I don't know. I just need a recommendation or a motion or something to eliminate that light or leave it. I can go either way, it doesn't.
Is it gonna interfere with the movie if you leave it?
Well, does the existing light interfere?
A little bit, if it's gonna be brighter.
It's gonna be brighter.
See that screen.
Yeah, the other two are brighter as it is, give her that one, it'll be pretty much the same.
That's gonna be 250, so that's gonna be pretty bright out there.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that.
Okay, and I will see if they can just eliminate that light and then put a switch. Or not put a switch, but I'll see if they can put a switch first.
Okay.
If they can, which I don't think they will, I don't know if they'll let us do that, but I'll see if they can put a switch, and if they can, we'll do that, and if not, then we'll eliminate it, and then just see if we can get a meter on it. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. I think that's all I have.
Okay, well, you got plenty, good job. Okay, Ken, parks?
Speaking of, boat docks, our dock, by the, public ramp has been removed. We have I want to thank, our new crew of people that are gonna be taking it out and putting it in each year, maybe, hopefully. Jared Copper and Brent Thomas, Matt Sorgi, and Al Safco, so they did a good job helping out. So that's, so it's tucked away up here now.
Did you hear that?
How many guys you use?
For why?
Just messing with you.
So, yeah, so that worked out well.
Many hands make light work.
Ed Carter, that's smart.
The train at Bungalow Bay has been completed. The one at Point Park is not done yet. I think that might wait till spring. Needs some major reconstruction of it, I guess. So that's gonna be done. And, as for the tennis court, the sign for the tennis court rules, it's probably gonna be addressed later. The ordinance update. That's gonna be talked about later, the ordinance update.
Or now if you want.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about it now, yeah.
Okay, well, I took the court rules from the sign and updated the list of rules that was in our ordinance, so they're the same. Also, I added playing hours 8 AM to dark. Dark is defined as the time streetlights go on in the village. So that's consistent with the basketball courts. So I have an ordinance to do that, so if you go on our book of ordinances, and it's got the old tennis court rules on it, and 2 rules I wrote up for the walkway. Only for pedestrian and walking traffic, and no non-motorized or motorized vehicles of any kind on the walkway. If you want more or other rules, just let me know. But this is what I wrote up for this meeting.
Yeah, I printed up, I looked at it, looks good to, my opinion, 'cause I don't, doesn't seem like really, just buttons everything up. We'll just have to add that one to the sign, I'll get with you later, or get with your guy, your sign guy.
Okay?
Yeah.
Do you wanna have a first reading in this?
Sure.
First reading, ordinance number 877-22. An ordinance revising and updating rules for the use of the village tennis courts, basketball courts, walkway ramp from Bungalow Bay Boulevard to the lake access area adjacent to Beachside Boulevard, and declaring the same an emergency.
One question on that.
Yes.
Would the signs on the walkway be plastic material, or like we have aluminum signs now?
Whatever you want to do.
Well, do we have aluminum signs at the top and bottom?
No vehicles, no.
It just
Bicycles,
says
no.
walkway only.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what they are, that's good.
And let's just leave those.
Okay.
Are you making this an emergency?
Yes. So is there a motion to waive the second and third reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yep.
Basketball court number 3, I would put nets and rims,
Oh, yeah.
because they like to hang on the rims
Nets and rims?
and or rims.
Yeah, they'd be hanging on the
Because
rims.
kids like to jump up and try it. If it's a breakaway rim, it'll snap back up, and if they're not breakaway rims, it'll bend them.
Right, that's a good catch, actually, because that's what they're aiming for when they catch the net.
Exactly.
I think I have some metal nets,
Yeah,
chain nets, that
that would do it.
it's a good deterrent to people jumping up and grabbing the net. 'Cause
Barbed
they're
wire.
metal.
Barbed wire, electric wire.
They'll only do it once.
I do believe I have some, so I'll see if I can find them. Put them up in the spring.
Okay.
What else you got, Ken?
Oh, very good. The Briarwood Park, we have a quote for the fence. You can see my numbers here. It's gonna be a split rail fence. Well, here it is, okay. Now, there's a little issue there similar to what Tamara was talking about, as we're running out of time on allotted monies that we have put in certain areas. The quote's for $5,460. Materials, $4,260, and then labor's $1,200. Now, we have some options there, what we can do, because we'd have to spend that money this year. I mean, it's not a grant, but, it's set in place for that, right? We can purchase the material, they'll drop it on location, or they'll keep it in their warehouse, and then that would be $4,260. I'd like to do that if possible.
This year.
Yeah, this year, yeah, but they're not gonna put it up, I guess, I didn't get to that point, they're not gonna put it up this year.
There's
And then you can't-
time limit on that money you're using the endowment.
Yeah, but it would be
There's no
nice to
time
get it set in place. Cause it's,
Yeah, but if we have to do the work next year, it's sitting in an account that is interest bearing.
yeah, I don't know how much.
I mean, it's not a lot of interest, but it's still sitting in an account. The interest bearing with interest rates on the increase right now.
Lumber prices might go down next year.
That's true, it's a possibility.
Hey, it's been down. slowly going in the right direction. It is.
I just wanted to move the football down the field a little bit, but, yeah.
It's gonna be icy and snowy, so.
I suppose we can.
Well, from the endowment, Gary can set aside the
Yeah,
budget amount that you've got there, and so you have the allocation.
Yeah, okay.
You already got some money from that left over anyway.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be used for. So, but I guess it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. That's it, really.
Okay, streets, Keith?
Well, our road project is done for this year. I think, Briarwood Boulevard is the main, well, that was a very nice, job to make the entrance of the village look a lot nicer, a lot smoother.
Yep.
The walkway is done, the post is, the new post up top is set in place. Thanks to Matt, helped, gets the signs on it that say, walkway only. And, we'll be getting our engineering work done for, Lower Brookfield Boulevard. And, salt's in place, plowing with the townships in place, and that's a short report.
It is. Thanks. Anybody have anything for streets? Is this where you mentioned that survey? My Cape survey?
Oh, well, I can.
Oh, and
It's kind of a
thank you to
straight.
all the members of the community that voted for the levy for village operating, which that's a big contributor to the roads projects that, everybody can be using and enjoying. So, okay, thank you.
But you want to do old business first?
Well, yeah, that's how you do it, and this is kind of roads, because it's actually about Park Lake
Okay,
in the long run.
well, as you know, we engaged Cunningham and Associates to do a survey, engineering analysis of McCabe Creek. Nels Johnson has finally completed that work, and the reason it took so long is they had a bad summer of injury and illness with their surveyors. So that work just kept getting pushed back. So that was finally completed. Nels has completed his engineering analysis. And this Wednesday, I'm gonna meet him, Keith and I, and we're gonna review what he proposes as an engineering remedy to the bank erosion that affects Park Lake by the fire hydrant, if you will. This is one of those that may well apply for what is known as a nationwide permit, which is a greatly simplified permit process to enable the village to move forward and get the work done quickly. At this juncture, I don't have more information than that because I haven't met with Nels yet. So we'll have that Wednesday. I would like to have it for tonight's meeting, but simply didn't have it. So as soon as I know, you'll know. If I get an email report, I'll make it available to the council members. But essentially, a nationwide permit is something that's available, as the name suggests, nationwide, but it has a very limited scope and scale. Because this is a small area, we're just gonna fit within the parameters of the erosion stabilization. If it were a bigger project, we'd have permits up to our eyeballs. But we're gonna dodge that bullet. So as soon as I know, you'll know, and then we'll have the winter months to secure grant money if we need it. Otherwise, we can plan for funding of it otherwise.
Okay. Thank you.
Send out that email, include me in it, would you please?
I'd like to read all that. Council first. Public record, right? Council first, then you. I'd still like to read it. Well, you may read it. Council first. Well, just put my name at the end after council.
Okay, so you'll eventually get a copy for it. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, law director,
Well, I talked about 9 Parkway Path and the ordinance for the rules. The only other thing I have to add is, I've got 2 cases in court. One was 9 Parkway Path, which was done now, as far as the charges go. The other is a case where the defendant was found guilty of disorderly conduct, fine and cost total $395. That's it.
Question for you, Alan. You, completely off what you just discussed, you sent out that, tree proposals. Is that something we're prepared to discuss?
You mean all those materials?
All those trees from, I think it was the village of,
Creston adopted it, right? It's up to you, but a lot of material.
Reviewing that myself.
you know,
I don't know what you're talking about. Did you send that to everybody? No.
No, I sent it to Bud, Martin.
Sometimes you send stuff to a Gmail account that I never.
Oh,
use.
okay. Sorry about that.
It might be communicate.
That's from
failure
last
to
month.
communicate.
right, that is from last month.
The ones that wanted it.
Is this something you want to act on? So should we wait till everybody reads it and then talk about it?
I probably would be appropriate.
Well, it's a lot of stuff. Do you want me to send it to everybody?
Well, what, do you like some people better than others?
Yeah, of course.
Well,
No, that's the one that wanted.
We all went.
Send it to Mark, give him some reading.
Was this pertaining to the trees?
Send it to Mark and
A whole
let
bunch
him give us a
things
report,
regulating
a short
trees.
report.
Okay. Okay, I know you.
It's a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I felt reading it that it was way overboard for us, but.
I thought it was way overboard when they
Creston,
Creston,
yeah.
What's it about?
It's about,
Gonna breach the.
Permissible trees and prohibited trees.
it's all about trees.
Wait, you want to start something like that in this village where we have permitted trees?
Well, you can't fault it on its face for their thoroughness. It's a bit verbose,
True.
and it's a bit over my head.
It's an example.
Is this a Mark Crossy project?
I think what.
Lisa said, no, it is not.
Ed Stevens was at 1 or 2 meetings before, and somebody planted a pine tree up on the circle. And we were trying to see if we had any ordinance and zoning that had landscape protocols on where you can't put things.
And you
Well,
know,
that was just for
You don't
village property,
really,
right?
think about it.
Yes.
It is all
Well,
about
this is-
village property and a public, somebody random going on village property and planting
Well,
anything they want.
Their particular ordinance, Tim, that also affected private property owners as to what they could plant, was prohibited. Because there are some tree species that are completely undesirable, very invasive.
Well, but we haven't given permit for a tree in years and yet a lot of them get planted.
Which is exactly on point.
We don't have anything, yeah.
I think that's the problem.
So you want, every time they want to plant a tree, you want them to come get a permit from,
Yeah. We'll stop it out. What's this?
Mr. Williams.
go yank it out.
Hey, but we haven't had an argument.
I can't.
Bring on stupid.
I merely asked a question.
I don't think you're ready to act on it.
I moved
I
to
don't
defer
think that-
that discussion still.
You don't even want it.
You might want to table that, so you have time to think about it.
Main Street's gonna be.
Does Pam and Bob come and ask us for permits when they put their trees up?
Well, they should, if it's on village property.
So we told you what.
It's like-
Yeah, well, the trees will be planted, or be replaced what was cut down, so we didn't really add any trees.
In fact, actually, we have bus trees.
But you didn't come and explain every species to
But
get
we
permission.
did.
Well,
We
we
did,
did.
we did.
But Creston, they would have had to.
Well, we thoroughly investigated what kind of trees could be planted in that park because of flooding, and we did it, more than one person gave us the same exact trees that we could use out there, and when we went and told people that they wanted to plant a tree in memory of somebody, that they only had those trees to choose from, because those were the trees that were allowed to be planted
The
there.
question I'm asking, based on what they're talking about, how do we know you did that?
I saw an arborist report. I mean,
I thought you said that.
Well, no, we had Tony Shire did it, and then the gentleman from the Park District. And then when the girls were down at the Seacrest Arboretum down there, they talked to the guy down there, and everybody, and then Andy looked at it too. And you know how thorough he is. And everything was like, everybody was like right here on point on every tree that.
yeah, it's just a
Now, we
replacement.
We've not lost one of those trees yet.
Well, the point being, that if I understand what they're trying to talk about here, you would have had to come say something to the council and maybe possibly get a permit to plant the tree.
Creston has a tree committee.
Right. Yeah.
I know years ago they had a tree committee here too.
They still do, and you have to take the tree planting on the tree lawns or in a park to the tree committee, then the tree committee then recommends to council whether or not a permit is issued.
Who wants to be on the
When
tree
the
committee?
resident came and complained about, he planted a tree, and then the other guy planted a tree, and then one tree was killing the other tree, what do you want us to say about that, since we didn't give permission for either one of them trees?
But we saved that tree being.
I know,
good
but
for a
on the other
project.
hand, since we didn't really have anything to do with either one of those trees getting planted, who are we gonna tell them to tear their tree out, the guy that complained or the other guy?
The one that's cheapest.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I like the idea of having rules, put in place and maybe a committee, for village property, but private property, I mean, I wouldn't touch that.
Well, we're kind of talking about.
Well, hey,
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
It's just an outgrowth of several different things, one of which was a village resident complaining. Another of which is I've had casual conversations with other council members. Wouldn't it be nice if we had like a beautification tree planting process where we had trees that are pretty in the spring? Crab apples and.
I think that's a great idea.
And that would be nice on village property, but not on private properties.
Well, he's talking, the guy you're talking, you're not talking about everybody in the village coming to get a permit for a tree, are you?
No, I don't know. No,
Because I do know that a place where they have that.
That's all I'm saying, is, you know, you need to make it clear that this would be on village property.
I think that's a great
and their
idea.
private rights.
I didn't know we were having a problem. Bob?
Yes, I know which tree it is, and when we planted the maple tree up there, the project, they planted those people.
Tree wars.
They actually wanted to plant it in their front yard. And it was like, no, we cannot do that. So we planted it across the street, and there was a little spruce tree there at that time, and she wanted it as close to the house so that she could get shade from that tree. Well, now, that spruce tree has taken off and grown in leaps and bounds, and the maple tree is still growing, but it's not great.
Well, I heard neither one of them were dead, so there was really not an issue.
No, they're not dead.
They're not dead.
They're not dead at all. You know, people back, they're dead. They're not dead.
It's not dead. I mean, they're
There was
looking
a
at
dry
them in the
summer.
fall, they go around looking at them in the fall and say they're dead.
Oh, there's a dry summer. Maple start losing their leaves.
See what you can get into without any ordinance whatsoever.
Would you like to
See
have
what
this
happens,
done?
you put this stuff up.
I thought we did that.
See, I'm just showing you.
Alan,
Do what you want.
thank you for the information. I'll say no more.
If you ever want to hear about this again, put it in the wood pile.
The pride committee's a good place to put that function though.
I agree. I think they do
Well,
a
we
great
really
job.
have, you know what, we've run out of places to plant trees, so I really don't know that it's gonna be.
Let's cut some down.
Because we really pretty much used up all our space, and I refuse to put anything in our field in the Point Park, because that's where kids play, and that's where we have our activities, so there's not gonna be trees planted there either, so I think we're pretty much
We've got
done with the trees.
the new park on Briarwood.
That's right.
That you could put some in there, and my thoughts were with that was that we just say,
Just
tell the
pay
garden
money,
club
take
to
a bunch
hit
of
it.
them out.
And you know, there's a lot of dead trees on our property on the garden that could be taken down and some nice trees.
Your tree budget is over for this year, you've cut down. Seriously, cut them down next year, you're not cutting them down.
It's just an alternative.
There's other places in the village.
Pick up area and make a little woods.
I think it's worthwhile. I think it's a good idea to have a committee of some sort. And I'm gonna start with Pride. Yeah, I mean, maybe some of the information that Legoson sent over to you. Pull out the good pieces.
I'll make you chair.
Don't be.
You be the liaison.
I may be thinking of another village, because I do get confused sometimes with 5 villages, but there was a problem in a village with people planting trees on public property and putting little plaques in without any kind of permission. And that may be why Creston is going that route. But that's what you don't want,
Right.
Bronze plaques everywhere where people decide they're planting a tree.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the basis of all this discussion, it's 2 trees, and somebody thought we're killing each other, basically they're okay, and we're gonna leave them all alone.
Leave them in peace.
And move on to the next subject that we have to talk
Okay,
about.
the next subject I was thinking about would, how could we compensate Chris for his work
Chris, who?
on the sidewalk?
He's contracted at $25 an hour.
He's getting paid.
They had good
Chris
money.
Sims, yeah, gets $25 an hour.
He gets credit at school too, in some way.
I thought you meant Chris Watson.
Right. PhD.
I can't even remember the committee. Oh, are we done with law director?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go to finance.
Okay.
Get this.
Right, yeah, that's in my notes here. All right, all from excitement to doldrums. Here we go. Everybody signed in tonight, I hope? Okay. This past Saturday, I distributed the October bank reconciliation report to council. Everything's in balance. Any questions or comments on bank reconciliation? Can I have a motion authorizing council to sign?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you. Past Saturday, I distributed the October appropriations report. Any questions or comments on appropriations through October?
I did talk to Gary today. We went to page 2, just looking in a macro area. For 2022, we're showing revenues of $185,520. 2023, 187,050. So that's just revenue budget. My concerns were when I went to page 5, which is the expenditures on 2022 was $280,050 or $250.87 versus what I was telling you, the revenue was vastly different. So example was revenue 185,000 and some change, expenditures 280,000 and some change. That was the appropriated expenditures. So we were negative $95,000. And then a similar situation when you went to revenues in 2023 versus expenditures in 2023. So Gary, if you want to give them the explanation on that with the overages and et cetera.
Sure. Well, that pertains to our 2023 budget that I sent to council, gave to council this past Saturday for appropriations in 2023. But to Alan's point, what I indicated and reminded him of is that the 2022 numbers that are on those budget sheets for expenditures and revenues, actually, those are all estimated numbers, okay? And I get the revenue estimate from the county, and of course, the appropriation estimate is what we submit to the county that we expect to spend. The point of it is we always have a significant carryover at the end of the year, which is what we want to do, because that carryover helps to finance the first quarter of the new year, when revenues are not coming in. So although we're showing higher expenditures for 2022 than revenues coming in, that is if we spend every dollar that's appropriated, and we never do, and we never should. We always do want carryover at the end of the year. And we've had this discussion in the past, in years gone by. But it never hurts to refresh our memories. So the expenditures listed under 2022 are not actual. Those are estimated, although actual numbers year to date are in these numbers. But we expect a significant amount of those monies not to be spent.
Example being on current expenditures, I had him extrapolate where we were at the end of October this year, knowing that all our big expenses for Keith and roads and streets have already been paid for. And that number, expenditures so far this year, at the end of October, $171,211, which is compared to the $280,250.
Correct.
So that does offset, and I guess it always has to, so always a disconnect there for me. So he has a good, reasonable explanation for that. And the carry forwards, there's a scheduled carry forward of 37,000, but could be a lot more.
We expect it to be
substantial. So he answered my questions to those.
All right. Any other questions on the October appropriations report?
Do we have to sign off on any of that stuff?
Yes, I'll be sending it all around. Can I have a motion allowing council to sign off on October appropriations?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Last month I reported that I went back to NOPEC to ask what does it mean to stay in good standing so we keep those monies. And response was so long as we stay in the two programs that we have for gas and electric. As long as we stay in one of those two programs and don't advise NOPEC that we're getting out of the program, those monies will remain available. Now, what we talked about earlier when I was saying there's a deadline, there was an email sent out by NOPEC stating that they're cutting off, they're shutting down for like a month and a half in December, and they don't reopen until mid-January. So if we don't spend the NOPEC monies this year, they're still available, but not till after mid-January next year. But that email contained the cutoff time, and I don't have it with me, but that's what you're going to do.
I'll email Ohio Edison tomorrow and see if they have that estimate.
So apparently, again, as long as we stay in either the electric and or the gas aggregate, the monies will remain available.
Well, gas is still going strong.
Right. Yep. Any questions on that? Okay. Tonight I distributed the uncommitted fund balance for the endowment fund, including the parks portion. So everybody got their new updates, which basically is the same as September, no changes. So those monies are available still to be spent. There is no time limit on those monies. Okay. Getting back to the budget for a moment, I did distribute this to all of council members. I do need your input for the December meeting. So if you have any questions on appropriations or the budget for 2023, you need some clarity, I can meet with you individually or as a group. But by the December meeting, you have to tell me if there's going to be any additional appropriations beyond what appears on the sheets that I gave you. And I know they're complicated to read, they're very involved, but that's why I offer assistance to sit down. Any questions on the 2023 budgets?
If we wanted to pursue looking into building a shelter up here on the property, would that be buildings or parks? Parks?
It would be in the park?
It would be out here beside the playground.
Okay. It would, because parks get funded out of the general fund, it's gonna be in the general fund period. So it doesn't really matter, just as long as we have the monies in the budget to cover what it is you're thinking you're going to do. So again, what I sent you, look at that general fund appropriations. And everybody should have a good idea what they're gonna spend next year or think they're gonna spend. We have a second opportunity in March of 2023 to amend the appropriations, so you do get a second shot at it. If nobody gives me any updates, then this budget that I submitted to council will be the budget going into Medina County this year.
Gary, I'm gonna reach out to Deputy or Captain Ross to see if there's any adjustments on deputy wages this year. We made an adjustment last January.
Right.
And we hadn't made one for several years prior to that, so I'll make that call out, but it's too early to make any determination.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine.
I would like to discuss amongst council members. I'm not prepared to do it tonight, but we own a significant amount of property that we do not manage in any particular way. But I guess it would be safe to say that we treat it as a wildlife area. And it's full of overgrown trees, saplings, and standing deadwood. I would like for next year's budget, and that, with that in mind, I'd like all the council members to drive and or walk about the village and look at our holdings. And if you don't know what they are, I can send them to you. Because I think we need to get after it. They're embarrassing, in my opinion. They're embarrassing. We've let them go for years and years, and we need to fix it.
I think you're absolutely right.
I think you need to start with the trees around the pond. That's a disgrace over there, all those dead trees that are right there. I don't know why you guys haven't got
Just
it.
trying to agree that that is an abomination.
It's
The
a dumping
pond,
ground.
the trees, the walkway.
There's more dead trees falling around that, right around that water now than there was. And we didn't take any of them out, even though it was repeated. So yeah, we'll get them. We didn't get them.
But, with everybody's input, I'd like to develop a master plan and start.
Yeah, because we should work that into the budget for next year, just go in there and take care of it, just get it off, get it out.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I don't want Gary to have a heart attack.
Much appreciated, thank you.
Yeah, I would keep behind you on that for sure, on an agreement.
Okay, what else you got, Gary?
Okay, Alan, were you able to write up that ordinance for Medina County on the purchase of salt?
Yes, and I'm not sure where it went. No, I think I did,
Okay.
but it may not have gone to you.
So that's from Medina County, those are their documents. We needed an ordinance.
Yeah, it was written up. It may not have been sent out. I know it was our mistake.
I have,
Well, here's the agreement here.
Yeah.
Alan, here's last year's, if you want to read the ordinance, and I give
Sure,
you what
we
the
can do that.
number is, that way you'll have a reading, first reading for it. And the ordinance number on this one will be 876.
876, yeah.
Right, dash 22.
I know, and I did this for Gloria Glenn's and for Chippewa, and apparently the Chippewa.
Where does this resolution thing from then? Or just there?
This
That's
is last
theirs.
year's.
Yeah, that's last year's.
That's
that I
also
gave you.
there. Okay, every year we have to pass an ordinance to approve an agreement to buy materials, mostly salt, from the county. And an ordinance authorizing an agreement between the village and Lafayette. Wait, this is township trustees. This isn't the right ordinance.
When the Lafayette gonna get us our salt?
No, I think you buy it straight from
Medina County, that's right.
Yeah, it would be an ordinance authorizing agreement with Medina County for the purchase of materials during the year 2023 and declaring the same an emergency.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay, I'll get it straight and sent out.
That ordinance number 876 is lower than the previous one, 877 that we did for
It is.
updated rules.
I
That's
think
accurate.
That, yes, because I assigned that earlier in the month.
So is there a motion to waive the second and third reading for 876-22?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to pass the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Okay, so you need this paper signed?
Yes, that's done, and I need to send back to Lafayette.
I'll get that to you here.
Okay, thank you. On October 22nd, I sent a document to council from the Medina County SPCA asking if we'll make a donation based on their estimate of $3,000 cost for 11 animals that took in our jurisdiction.
I think we just give them $250.
Right.
I make a motion, give them $250.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. All right, as the end of October, the balance of a primary checking account, $164,920.63. Money market account, $250,385.13. Star Ohio, $99,809.06, for a total of $515,114.82. Any questions on the balance of funds? Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
You need to have people on here to pick this salt up. So, doesn't Lafayette pick up our salt? We don't pick up our salt, right?
No, I put in Rick's name. Yeah, I filled that
You don't
in.
pick up our salt, do you?
Picked up some for up here, but I mean, other than that.
Is your name on the list of people that could pick it up? Or is it usually on that list?
Usually not.
Okay.
I have urea in the closet for the walkway and stuff, so we don't need that.
Usually what I do is I'll get salt to put on the walkway for the public plunge.
Okay, do we have any other old business? Okay, we'll go to the audience, Mark. Come on. Eric, would you like to ask any questions?
No, I'm just glad this is the first council meeting I've sat in on. It's interesting
Pretty
to
exciting.
hear all you guys, yeah.
Second Monday of the month.
Bob?
One thing is the water been turned off for the Chedley and the water fountain.
I called them and was informed that it was already taken care
Okay.
27th, the last month.
Pam?
No, I think we're good for now.
Howard?
I'm fine.
Wow. Lisa?
I asked last month if anybody had updates to the website. I haven't received any, so I guess it's fine. Also, Kelly was unable to attend that, asked me to thank Barb for coming in so early and so late on voting day, as well as jump-starting our poll leader's car. She really appreciates it.
Thank you.
Barb, you're always helping. Okay, new business?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan.
NOPEC has their annual meeting tomorrow. It's a live stream and a live meeting. I'm going to be out of town, but I'll try and observe it. There was a proxy vote for representative from Brunswick to be a representative of Medina County over there. So that's handled. First I'd learned that NOPEC was closing down for December and half of January. Where did that announcement come to you?
Yes, I got it and I distributed it to all.
Was NOPEC itself or their website? What'd you say, it wasn't NOPEC itself, it was, what was it? The people that run that grant
The grant?
thing? Is that how you worded it?
I just sent how they sent it to me is how I sent it out. Let me see if I got it here.
I don't, I was traveling last week, so I don't know if I received that.
Doesn't look like I brought it.
What email should I use for you then?
Akron Allen, Bright Idea Shops.
I don't have it, John. I can send it out again or look at it when I get home tonight.
Okay, that's fine. It's just an FYI for me. Charlie Raymer, who had been our previous contact with NOPEC and a village resident, he's actually retiring at the end of the year. So I did talk to him recently. Jose Delgado, who spoke with us several times, is still our contact person. Charlie kind of oversaw all of them, but he's at retirement age. He's taking advantage of that. The next thing I'd have is Chippewa Lake Lions Club Foundation has set their 2023 polar bear date for February 4th of 2023. I have some flyers here. We've set last year, the lake, because of flooding, was black flagged, the event date and the following Saturday, which was our backup date. So we were at the first date, we were able to have a walk run, but not an event date. And we got a lot of heat from that. Eric was disappointed among all of them. So February 4th, and then we were setting up more backup dates 2 weeks apart. So February 18th and then March 4th are the backup dates. And in the past, we had an ordinance granting the Lions Club to use the beach area and the roadways for that. I'd like to propose an ordinance. Is that
Motion?
my motion from
Just to have it on
council
record.
to recognize the Lions Club Foundation to use the beach and the roads on Chippewa Lake for the run walk on February 4th, February 18th, and or March 4th for backup.
And we bring a copy of insurance for the village, so the village is covered.
That's right. We provide, we Park District. I've talked with Chief Winkler and Assistant Chief Holtzman. Those days are good. We were concerned because in the past, the fire department had used February for their breakfast, Sunday breakfast. And they haven't decided what they're doing, but they're moving it. They're focusing on April as the time frame for the breakfast. I can't remember if they had it live breakfast. I don't know if a handout breakfast or a drive-by breakfast. They're looking at their return on their investments. They have manpower issues like everybody on the restaurant industry. So I told them if they could really get strapped for people, Lions Club, Church, Crosspoint Church, and others in the community be more than happy to aid them, help them, and whatever is necessary. So I guess.
In the past, did you request the use of the building on those days also as like an emergency backup? I think you had requested the building too.
That's a good point.
We've never used the building.
Not this building, we haven't there. We did came up, next Monday, they're looking for a meeting here. There had been conflicts with the garden club, but I talked to the president of the garden club. And
I think they actually met tonight.
did they with it? Well, Kathy Elias said they weren't, they were meeting someplace else in November and December. So if you could just set aside 7 o'clock on Monday, third Monday of those, so tomorrow, this coming Monday, 7 o'clock, and I think it's the 20th in December.
Yeah.
Alan?
Yes.
I think you have a wrong date on this March, on this flyer March 3rd, which is a Friday. You just said March 4th.
There's March No, February 4th.
No, but March 3rd is on there also, and that is Friday.
Is that one of your,
Yeah, that's.
rain dates?
Yeah, that's an error. I'll get it corrected for the
Yeah.
next print.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we need a motion for, what are we looking for?
To authorize the Lions Club to all the activities you mentioned.
Right.
And on the days you mentioned.
Put forward that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Gary might need a
Opposed?
You want, third Monday in December as well?
Yeah, thank you.
That's correct. Yeah. I believe that's 20th, but I'm not positive on that. And we had one other, kind of a serious matter. We have a missing person in the village, and for those that aren't, maybe can't identify that person, but recently there was, and I'm part of that, there was a birthday celebration at my house, and we had someone missing. Now, this is not just an ordinary person. This person's been in my wife's family generation for well over three generations of family members. Person's missing.
Oh, yeah, I see, there's a.
Yeah. And it's very special, it's very emotional for my wife. So if anybody in the community, anybody in the audience, anybody out in the Zoom world would know who that person is, and I'll just kind of hold it up here for other people on the camera as you do that. So-
I think maybe, there might be somebody in this room who's related to somebody.
Well, it's bigger than this, because just right after this person went missing, all the scarecrows up and down Beachside Boulevard are gone. They're missing. Can you believe the timeliness and coincidence of that? So, thank you for your attention, and if anybody happens to see or know of anybody that might be involved, if you just call that number anonymously, we would appreciate that. Thank you for your time. That's all I have.
Is there any other new business? Well, I don't have the dates here, but if any of you guys are interested in this, there was some kind of a Christmas luncheon invitation from Rumpke, our garbage people. And it's for, one of the days in December, something like December 4th or 5th. And it's a luncheon, and it runs from noon until 6 p.m. So I don't know what all is going on, but if any of you want to go, just let me know and I'll forward you the invitation, then tell the guy who's coming.
So where is it?
It's in Rockland Heights. I just thought, what in the world kind of lunch was for Maybe they're gonna tour a garbage truck or something. Maybe they're gonna get lunch on the garbage truck.
That's great. Also, John Gladden was speaking for Cloverleaf, and they were, I think, December 10th, having some kind of a luncheon over at Cloverleaf High School.
Yeah, they sent invitations out there. You probably got one.
Right.
Is that what this was?
To breakfast.
Oh, really?
Okay, any other new business? Okay, we need one more motion.
I had a question though. Jim Brandenburg. Did you guys do the gutters this year? You did the gutters last fall. Did you do the gutters this year? Okay.
Do you want me to do those?
What's that?
Do you want me to?
Well, you guys did it last year, so I still have to fix that soffit, so I just do them all.
Too cold.
She falls, it's your fault. Just saying.
I'll bring them home too.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? I'd like to get over this.